Medicare Supplemental Insurance offers great coverage for people on Medicare. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the difference in Medicare supplement plans, everything you need to know on how to enroll and how to switch, as well as the difference between those and Medicare Advantage plans. So stay tuned. Hey, my name is Russell Noga. I'm the owner of Medisupps.com. We're an online independent Medicare insurance agency helping people like yourself shop for the best Medicare plans as well as educate you and answer all of your questions first. Because that's what's most important, that you understand all of this as well as understand all of your options available. One of those options happens to be Medicare Supplemental Insurance. But let's talk a little bit about why you might need that in the first place. Well, when you first enroll in Medicare, and that's whether you're turning 65 or maybe you waited a little bit, you're over 65 and you're still on group coverage, you enroll in Medicare Parts A and Part B. Now, Part A covers hospitalization, Part B covers doctor services. Those are the main parts of Medicare. It's also called Original Medicare. You can add a Medicare Part D drug plan to that, but I'll get into that a little bit later. I don't want to confuse you. There are a lot of parts and plans and letters to all of this, but I guarantee you, at the end of this video, you'll understand it all. Now, again, Part A, hospitalization, Part B, doctor services. These don't cover all of your medical bills. There are what's called gaps or expenses in them that you are required to pay. Well, Medicare Supplemental Insurance comes in and helps pay most of those for you. Pretty cool. So the difference is, though, there are different Medicare supplement plans that you have to choose from. And there are also those Medicare Advantage plans I'm sure you heard about, all those TV commercials telling you can get all these benefits and everything free and yada, yada. Well, I'll tell you the difference of both, so that will help you decide which one's going to fit your needs best. So whether you are going to enroll in a Medicare supplement plan or a Medicare Advantage plan, everybody starts by enrolling in Medicare Part A and Part B. That's where you start. That's Original Medicare, the core of that. Now, Medicare supplement plans would go alongside with those, work with Part A and Part B to supplement and pay for, as I mentioned, most of those gaps in Medicare. And then you can add a Medicare Part D drug plan to that. And a lot of people do, and that's some of the best coverage you could possibly get. There is no network with Medicare Supplemental Insurance. You can go anywhere in the country. Any doctor, specialist, or hospital that accepts Medicare will take your Medicare supplement plan. Then, of course, you have your Part D drug plan, which is used at pharmacies around the country. Now, the difference between that, and again, everybody starts with Part A and Part B, is with a Medicare Advantage plan, you actually opt out of Original Medicare to enroll in a private managed care plan by one of the Medicare-approved private insurance companies. You must still, however, pay for the Medicare Part B premium. A lot of people don't know that. Yes, you still pay for Medicare, but then you are in the hands of that private insurance company. And I'll talk a little bit more about the pros and the cons of that. So let me talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts of Medicare Advantage plans. And to be clear, these are the ones you're seeing advertised on TV, the ones with all these benefits and may include this, may include that, and they may include those, which also means they may not. See, Medicare Advantage plans by law only have to provide as good a coverage or the same coverage at least of Medicare Part A and B, Original Medicare, which you're still paying for, but you're not getting anymore. But you're getting it in the Medicare Advantage plan. Above and beyond that, they could cover more or they could not cover more. And that's what's called prior authorization for services. So if you want something that is above what normally Medicare Part A and Part B would cover, often you have to get prior authorization, or your doctor does, to see if it's even covered. You don't need that with a Medicare supplement plan. We know Medicare supplement plans, we know exactly what they cover. When they cover it, there are no questions. Now, Medicare Advantage plans have their uses, and there could be people out there where that's a great fit. However, in this country right now, there is a massive, massive lack of communication from agents explaining to people exactly what they're getting. And we know because we're getting the phone calls, people saying, get me out of here. I wasn't even told this. We had 2 calls yesterday of people who said, I was lied to and I didn't even want this. Again, they have their uses, but you have to know the differences. The big one is, yes, you opt out of Medicare Part A and Part B and roll with a private company, and there are certain things that can be declined with them. Now, Medicare Advantage plans come in different types. You have HMOs, PPOs, all these terms you probably heard as you were working with your group coverage, they require networks. HMO, you stay in a network, and that's the only place you can get your coverage unless it's an emergency. You need a primary doctor you need to assign who will give you referrals. If you want to see a specialist, you have to get referrals. PPOs, you can go in or out of network, but out of network typically costs more. So again, they have their uses, but the difference between an Advantage plan and a Medicare Supplement plan is just that. With a Medicare Supplement plan, and I'll get into that in a moment, you know exactly what you're getting. You know what you're paying per month, and you know what's going to be covered. And with an Advantage plan, there is the may or the may not, and that's the fact of it. So as I mentioned, we move a lot of people out of those Medicare Advantage plans quite a bit, and we do enroll a few people here and there in them. But these are the people, particularly during the enrollment period, who want to get out of those and come back to original Medicare and a Medicare Supplement plan, as well as a Medicare Part D drug plan. And the reason is, with a Medicare Supplement plan, what you see is what you get. You know exactly what you're getting. You have the flexibility of going anywhere in the country to see the top specialists that all take Medicare. There's never any question when it comes to these. So there are a couple different Medicare Supplement plan letters to choose from. There are actually 10 in all, with 2 more of being high deductible versions of a couple of those plans. But there really are just a few different plans that most people enroll in. And those Medicare Supplement plans are designated in letters, and it's A through N. Now, the coverage doesn't get better as you go through the alphabet, but I'll explain which letters are the most popular. And those letters would be Medicare Supplement Plan F, Medicare Supplement Plan G, Medicare Supplement Plan N, and a high deductible version of Medicare Plan G. Now, one of the most important things to remember when it comes to Medicare Supplement plans is they are what's called standardized. That simply means that every company has the exact same plan letters and the exact same benefits within those plan letters. That means if you go to one company and they have a Plan G, it is the same as another company's Plan G, which is great. Makes it a little easier to shop. What the most important thing of that is that they all charge different rates for it. Now, we are an independent Medicare agency. It means we shop all the top companies for you. You pay the same whether you allow us to help or you go direct. So you might as well let us help because there's no other charges. Our service is entirely free, but we shop all the top rates for you every year, like we've done for our clients for the last 15 years now, to make sure you don't overpay. Now, back to those plan letters. Again, we've got the 4 different letters that are the most popular. Well, starting with Medicare Supplement Plan F, that plan is only available to people who are enrolled in Medicare on January 1st of 2020 or earlier. The reason is they got rid of it. It was too expensive because it offered 100% coverage of those gaps in Medicare Part A and Part B, like I explained. 100% coverage means people used it a lot. And they used it for even small things. So it ran up the bills. And after a while, Medicare just realized, wait a minute, we got to stop this plan and create plans, or at least push other plans that had more what's called cost sharing, meaning you, the beneficiary, might have more deductibles or copays. So Plan F, great plan. And for people who are still on that, who did enroll prior to that date of January 1st, 2020, they get to keep the plan. And a lot of people love it. In fact, there's more people enrolled in Plan F still than any other plan. However, that's changing a little bit, but it is the most expensive plan as well. So if you are still on a Plan F, give us a call. You can go to my website, Medisupps.com, and check rates from different companies to see if there's a cheaper Plan F out there. And if there is, well, we might want to talk about switching you. Why? Because of what I said earlier, the plans are standardized. Everybody has the same Plan F, so you could be paying substantially more with one company for the exact same thing that you can get for a lower premium with a different company. So you might be saying, well, gee, I enrolled in Medicare after January 1st of 2020, and that Plan F sounded great, 100% coverage. Don't worry, because you still have a great plan to choose from, which is actually, in my opinion, and opinion of my entire team, better than Plan F because it's cheaper for almost the same thing. Hey, in today's economy, we all need to save money. Everything is incredibly expensive at this point. There's no reason at all to pay more for a Medicare supplement plan than you need to. Really, there's no difference. So that plan for people new to Medicare today or anybody after January 1 of 2020 is Medicare Supplement Plan G. Now, how is it close? Well, Plan G pays 100% of the gaps of Medicare Part A and Part B, just like that Plan F does, after you just pay the annual Medicare Part B deductible. Now, in 2023, that deductible is $226, which means the first $226 of your medical bills you pay. After that, pretty much turns into a Plan F. Plan G will come in and pay 100% of the gaps. However, the premiums for Plan G are much less than Plan F. So let's just put F aside, because chances are, if you're watching, you're maybe new to Medicare, or you've been on a few years after that date and you don't even qualify for Plan F. Medicare Plan G offers the most coverage for people new to Medicare in terms of Medicare Supplement Plan, with just that one small deductible and then 100% coverage. So it's actually easier to say what it doesn't cover than what it does, because every Medicare approved expense after you meet that deductible is going to be paid by Medicare, who pays 80%, and then Plan G, which picks up the difference, 100%. There's no other copays, no other deductibles or coinsurance to pay. It is that good a coverage. So what most people say at this point is, yeah, but what does Plan G cost me? Well, give us a call today. We'll shop the rates for you. There's never any obligation with us. We actually give out more free advice and don't take people on as clients than we actually do sign people up. So give us a call today. Our number's down below. It's 1-888-891-0229. Or again, visit my website, Medisupps.com, where I am one of the only people who shows you the rates online. And why do I do that? It's very expensive for me to do that. Well, I want to earn your trust. I don't want to be like one of those websites that says, get quotes here, get quotes here. You fill out all of your information, and guess what? You don't get any quotes. And that's almost everybody else, because they want to collect your information and either sell it to 20 other agencies, or their agents will bombard you with phone calls, and it'll go round and round to every agent until they get you on the phone. We don't do that here. I offer the free quotes online, or you can call us today and we'll answer all of your questions when it comes to Medicare. Now on to the next plan, which is one of my favorites because it's got even lower premiums than Plan G, but still pretty close in coverage, and that is Medicare Plan N. So with Medicare Supplement Plan N, again, like I mentioned, it's very close in coverage to Plan G. You still pay the annual deductible, that Part B deductible. And again, in 2023, that deductible is $226. Well, with Plan G, as I mentioned, 100% coverage after you meet the deductible. Well, with Plan N, you might have some additional out-of-pocket expenses in the form of copays mostly. Now, that's because of the lower premiums. They're saying, well, we'll give it to you for less, but you're responsible for a little bit more. When does this come in handy? Well, it becomes great for people who don't go to the doctor very often or who are extremely healthy. And it would take a lot of copays to actually rack up to be close to what Plan G is. And I'll explain that here in a moment. But again, with Plan N, you pay that $226 deductible. That's the Medicare Part B deductible. At that point, Medicare is going to come in and pay 80% of your medical bills. Plan M will come in and pay the additional 20%. Now, if you go back to the doctor throughout the year, and all of these deductibles run on a calendar year, by the way, they reset every January. But if you go back to the doctor during the calendar year, you might have up to a $20 copay with a Plan N per doctor's visit. Now, that's not guaranteed. It could be less, could be no copay, but 20 is the max. Now, with a telehealth visit, those are very popular, obviously, these days, there's no copay. So if you can do that, great, you avoid the copay. But see how they're giving these options, these different out-of-pocket expenses, which you're responsible for if you use the coverage, but in exchange, you do get to pay less for the plan. Now, another thing on Plan N that could come up is if you go to the emergency room and you're not admitted to the hospital, it'll be a $50 copay. And that's just to keep people out of the emergency room for tiny little items. Because again, like I mentioned with Plan F, people do like to go and use their coverage sometimes in the wrong place, like the emergency room for something non-emergency. So go, by all means, go to the emergency room, and if you need to, and just know that if you're not admitted, it's a $50 copay. Now, if it's something that can be taken care of at an urgent care center, there's no copay. So you can do that. There is one other thing that is very, very rare, but could come up on Plan N. It's called Medicare Part B excess charges. Got a whole nother video on what those are, but in all reality, here's the simple way of explaining it. Part B excess charges, if the doctors don't accept the assigned rates from Medicare for their entire practice, they could charge up to 15% extra. And they actually get a penalty on that, and the number's a little lower if they do that. It's estimated 98% of doctors in this country, roughly, accept the assigned rates from Medicare. So they don't even charge Part B excess charges. And a recent study has shown that if you did see a Part B excess charge, the average was less than $20. However, there's only about a 1% chance of all claims that even have an excess charge. So these are extremely rare. I wouldn't at all let that stop you from looking at Medicare Plan N as a great option to save money, stay with original Medicare. Again, no network, have that option, but get most of your bills paid, and then there might be some small copays. It's a great way to save money, and Plan N actually has lower rate increases each year than Plan G, and certainly lower than Plan F. So I will say that 98% of the people that we enroll in Medigap plans either go with a Medicare Plan G or a Plan N. That's just the way it is. You get the most bang for your buck and great coverage either of those. Now, there is one other plan that some people do like to enroll in, and it's because it's got even lower premiums than Plan N, but not nearly as good a coverage, or as much coverage in the beginning at least, and that is high-deductible Medicare Plan G. Now, you remember our standard Plan G, which is the one where you pay one small deductible, $226 in 2023. That's the Medicare Part B deductible, then 100% coverage. Well, the high deductible Plan G is just how it sounds. It's got a much higher deductible. In fact, in 2023, the deductible is $2,700. Now, that doesn't mean you wouldn't get coverage prior to meeting that deductible, but you wouldn't get full coverage until you hit that. Let me explain. With a high deductible Medicare Plan G, you still pay the Medicare Part B deductible. Everybody pays that. Even if you have a Plan F, you're paying higher premiums for the plan to pay it for you. So you pay the Part B deductible, which again, $226, at which point Medicare will come in and begin to pay 80% of your medical bills. Now, you need to pay the remaining 20% of those bills until you reach $2,700 on a high deductible Medicare Plan G. Once you hit that amount, after that, it's 100% coverage. So who is this plan for? Well, it's for people who don't want to go to a Medicare Advantage plan. They want original Medicare, that benefit you work so hard for your entire life. They still want to remain with original Medicare. They want the flexibility of going to the best doctors anywhere in the country, any specialist who takes Medicare, no network, no need for a referral. However, maybe they're very, very healthy. I get people who say, Russell, I don't go to the doctor ever, not even once a year. Well, in that case, but they're smart enough to realize, well, but something could happen, a car accident or anything could happen. Well, they know they still need some great coverage in place. If it happens, they're willing to take on more out-of-pocket expenses in the form of $2,700, at least for 2023. So they'll pay a lower premium than Plan G, take on a little more risk in the terms of financially, and they will go with a high-deductible Plan G. Again, give us a call today. We can get you the quotes on all of these plans, shop rates in your area, and see which one fits your needs the best. And that's what's most important. You understand the differences of the Advantage plans versus Medicare Supplemental Insurance, and then we find you a plan that fits your needs the best, as well as the Medicare Part D drug plan. So, hope you like this video. Give us a call today. I promise you'll be glad you did.